stop talking? Gentlemen? Call the meeting to order. Review of the minutes of the previous meeting. Any corrections, notations? Do I hear a blank on what I want.
A motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, and I agree, so all in favor.
Aye.
COVID update, excuse me. So I did provide a COVID update in your packet. Governor Baker, did make an announcement today that National Guard will be sent out to several different towns to help with non-medical personnel, as well as put in a mask advisory statewide. They're recommending individuals, vaccinated or not, wear a mask when indoors. We are currently tracking 67 active cases right now. I did include our vaccination rate, which is actually very good, in your packet, as well as some of the county information is in your packet as well. But unfortunately, we are seeing a huge surge in Harwich. Our positivity is pretty bad. Our incidence rate is bad. And the Cape is much higher in general than the rest of the state right now. We are hosting a vaccination clinic for the elementary school tomorrow for the second dose. And we are hosting a testing clinic open to the public with rapid Binex tests on this Thursday at the community center, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Can I interrupt? Those need to sit 6 feet apart or wear a mask, please?
You gotta go get one.
There's a table there.
Oh, there's some over there.
Sorry.
So unfortunately, we are seeing a surge. We're hoping the clinic can curtail some of the more positive cases that will happen as a result of gathering during the holidays, but we're still seeing the same Thanksgiving spread right now.
You wanted a discussion on whether we should.
It's up to the
mandate.
board if the board would like to do anything, make any changes, any recommendations, direct staff to do anything differently.
Maybe anyone who enters the building now should wear a mask.
I think that would be appropriate.
So we certainly could do that. We can, we'd have to schedule another meeting to have a vote, but I think that would be appropriate if that's
Okay.
the board's wishes what to do. We could have a consensus right now of dates if you'd like to do that. Do you have a time frame of when you'd like to meet to do this?
I think that's something, if we're gonna do it, it should be done as soon as possible.
Okay. So in terms of posting, we'll have to post for 48 hours business
Yeah.
days. If you decide on a date this evening, we could certainly have something for
Okay.
next week.
We could talk about that later, yeah, okay. And old unfinished business?
We don't have any old
Okay.
business, excuse
Okay.
me.
Then go ahead with the new business.
The first hearing we have is Faulkner, 38 Lincoln Village Road, to consider variances to upgrade the existing failed septic system to a Title V septic system. Plan prepared by Dan A. Speakman Construction. Application also shows a proposed family room and garage addition to the first floor and proposed addition and storage addition on the second floor. Variances from 310 CMR 15-11 minimum setbacks to allow the proposed soil absorption system to be 15 feet from the foundation where 20 is required, variance of 5 feet. For 310 CMR 15-11 to allow proposed soil absorption system to be 6 feet from the property line where 10 feet is required, variance of 4 feet. For 310 CMR 15-11 to allow a proposed septic tank to be 6 feet from the property line where 10 is required, variance request of 4 feet. And last but not least, per 310 CMR 15-11 to allow a proposed septic tank to be 9 feet from the foundation where 10 feet is required, variance of 1 foot. We do have Dan Speakman here this evening.
I now open the hearing.
Does it matter?
Nope.
Okay. You wanna come up? question, yeah. I didn't notice it.
Good evening.
Becky's probably got them on her desk. Yeah. I know that we have them somewhere. I saw them in a pile. Sorry, I didn't think of it. So I'm Dan Speakman, Jim Parkman, the owner of the property. So we're requesting these variances for the septic system. This is a voluntary upgrade. Jim has cesspools there now, they're working okay. He'd like to be able to get this thing done and get himself, kind of up to date regarding the septic system. So we're looking for these variances. You've obviously looked this thing over, and there is room to put the septic system in on the 28th side of the house, but he'd really like to put that addition on with a garage. So, Title V kind of allows for this expansion. Of course, it has to be with your blessing, with the variances that we've requested. The good part of that is that these variances are strictly at your purview. The DEP doesn't review these types of variances. They don't have okay, that you stand alone and make that decision. We're not asking for additional flow. We're simply looking to put the additions on as shown here. The number of the bedroom count has been verified by the health department. So,
We're hoping to retire here in Harwich Board, essentially in the next few years. And, we have a beautiful home, beautiful town here. We love the place, and we're just trying to be responsible, obviously, in how we approach this. From the standpoint of the home as it's currently set up, we would like to add a garage and an addition on the back of the house, which essentially is the only other spot that it would possibly fit. And we do have, I think, an ample amount of frontage in the front of the house to make this work, if you guys would be willing to do this with the variance.
So, we'd like to have a little back and forth if we could about this. I know that in the past, you've been reluctant to do this type of thing, but I'd like to have a little discussion about that. I don't know what comments you have.
Let me just ask if there's any public comment. Okay, so I close the hearing and we can have a discussion. The problem is, even though it's not, you're not increasing the Title V usage, the concern is that any increase in building space that you're proposed, you're probably going to be sewering everything down the road, and we don't want to stress any septic system that is at use now at their capacity. I know you're not increasing flow to the septic system, but it is a concern. And it also is a concern, I think, that we give you this okay, then that opens it up to everyone else that is requesting when it clearly states no increase in square footage.
When you say no increase in square footage, explain. I'm not following that.
Well, according to the house plan that I'm looking at, the family room addition and the garage addition are clearly additions in square footage to the house. Correct? Those aren't already there existing, those are full additions.
Yes, that's correct.
That's what you mean. You're adding to
And
the square footage of the house.
That's not permitted? That's it?
At this point, it would change a precedent that's already been set.
That's what we're looking for. We're looking to change the precedent, because I'll be honest with you, I was born in this town, and I've been doing this for 50 years and so forth, and I just don't understand why we're not helping out the people in the town of Harwich. I do not understand why we're granting variances every time we come in here for situations where every other reason except for, you know, you can take a house and tear it down and build a brand-new house and get your variances and so forth to do that. But why aren't we doing something for the folks in this town and by granting this type of thing, which is allowed for in Title V? I don't understand.
Do you have any comments?
I have comments, I don't necessarily have a recommendation. Dan is right, Title V does allow for the board to grant variances. I think the intent of Title V is to allow for new construction where the system still meets setbacks, but the code doesn't state it clearly anywhere in there. My only issue with this is they could have a fully compliant system where the garage is. They do have cesspools. If they did want to pull a building permit, they would be forced to upgrade to a compliant Title V system with any sort of building permit.
Correct.
But Dan is correct. You do have the provision in Title V, and it is what this board wants to do moving forward. If you want to continue to have the same environmental protection that you've had the entire time, it's completely the board's discretion. Title V does have that a full compliance with the provisions of 310 CMR 15 is presumed to be necessary for the protection of public health, and this is creating its own hardship. It's not that this was pre-existing, so it's entirely up to the board. This board has never approved it for new construction unless the system was not impacted. Typically, the reconsideration of variances that you're seeing are on the opposite side of the septic system, and that's when you're approving new construction, because it's not impacting any of the setbacks with the new
Septic
construction.
dependent. That's what the approvals have been for in the past.
And that's what you have been doing. So it is entirely the board's discretion. It would likely create a new approval, and at that point, do you even have setbacks for a reason? But it's entirely up to you how you as a board want to move forward and set the precedent.
Your policy has been, down the road, granting these variances, that no further square footages to be built. I don't understand what that's all about. You know, there's no adding of flow. You know, if you limit these types of things to, you know, in terms of new construction, it's new construction to the extent that you're building on something new. It's not new construction in terms of building a new house on a vacant lot. So you're allowing for a better situation for the folks in town. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this where you grant variances and so forth, and you say, well, you can't, and then folks are coming back in. You've seen it time and time again where folks come back and say, well, geez, I'd like to add on to my house, and I've got the room, I can do the setbacks and so forth. They're not looking for any more bedrooms, they're not looking for flow.
No,
But
no.
why not let them make a better living
home.
environment, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me.
In Connecticut, I have a two-car garage, okay? In Connecticut, I have a house that's a bit larger than the one that's here. We'd like to retire here, okay? I'd like to sell Connecticut. The point being is that our family is not changing in terms of size. It's just my wife and I. Our flow rate is not changing at all.
I just have two quick additional comments about that. The thought with the board is having an additional family room meant more people. So in Title V, that doesn't necessarily increase flow. The thought previously was more people, more flushes, basically. The other part is it would not be approved as a new construction. If this was a vacant lot and this was what was approved, you wouldn't be able to do that because it would be completely new. So that's another thing just to think about why you make this decision.
Yeah, one other item I'd like to add to your point there, and you just raised a very valid piece of this, and the reason why we want to do what we're doing is we have no closet space in this house, okay? So we're talking about using the current area that's behind the bedroom, essentially, to open up that bedroom and add some closet space, which would make the family room a needed addition to expand that family room behind it in front of the garage. That's essentially why we're doing that. Because there is no closet space in the home. You know, that's a key reason why we want to make those changes.
So this is, again, where the board has the decision. I mean, you hear people coming from other states.
I
You
guess
want
there'd be
people to
two-
come in and
I
move.
guess there'd be two things that I would want to know. One, you know, with the addition of the family room down the road, house changes hands, gets sold. Is that in any way adding on to the bedroom, potentially the flow down the road? And two, related to that, is there any way to ensure legally with, anything that the flow remains if the house changes hand?
We do septic inspections every time a house is sold. We're required to put the floor plan on that inspection report. It's documented every time, and then Katie reviews those things. She's have to dig out the old file and review that. This is thoroughly reviewed. Once these things are done, they're done.
So just know that you're setting a precedent. That's the only thing too, just to keep in the back of your mind.
Nobody's gonna take advantage of this down the road. That's well
Well,
taken care of.
I'm sorry, we've heard that before, and they have taken
Well,
advantage.
Again, I've been doing this a long
time.
time, and I do these septic inspections
Yep.
and so forth, and I'm in and out of these houses. I see this. I can see what's going on here. It's not like, somebody's gonna come in, or some inspector or somebody else is gonna come in. It's documented. If you change the room and so forth, you did it without a permit. You get caught when that inspection comes in, and you're gonna take care of it. It's not like somebody's gonna get away with something. I just don't see how that can happen.
Well, I would like to compromise, I think, and I would like to have the full board here to make the decision. We're missing a member, so that we're all in agreement instead of just partial board. So if we could readdress this in the next meeting, when
That would
everyone
be
will
fine.
be here.
It's fine.
You okay
Is
with
that
that?
okay?
So you'll just have to make the motion to a date certain, which is in there. I believe it's option 1 if you want to use the pre-made
Yeah.
motions.
Somebody want to, is that good for everybody?
Yeah?
Somebody want to make the motion with January 18th?
I'll make a motion, we go into option 1.
Is that good enough, or you want the whole thing?
Yeah, if you don't mind just saying the whole
Reading it.
thing. Move to continue make the motion to continue.
Yeah, the board requires additional information or wants to take the matter under advisement. The following motion is recommended. Move to continue the hearing for 38 Lincoln Village to no earlier than 6:30 PM on the next meeting, which is January 18th,
2022,
22,
due to having a full board.
with having a full.
Okay, that way,
Yeah, I agree
Have
with you. I
everybody
think that would be best.
Sorry, do we have a second on it?
I second that
Okay.
motion.
okay, I'm in agreement, so, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I understand what you're saying, too.
It's January 18th.
I didn't get to see.
What was the next date? I'm sorry.
January 18th,
January
6:30.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you want me to read the next one?
Yes, please.
So next up, we have Kearney, 6 Saquatucket Point, to consider variances to upgrade an existing septic system to a Title V septic system. Plan prepared by Stephen A. Haas, P.E. Application also includes a reconsideration of previous order of conditions granted on January 10th, 2001. There is to be no increase in square footage, habitable space, or number of bedrooms beyond those presently existing in the dwelling. The applicant is proposing 2 small additions on the dwelling. The first is an enlarged and reconfigured master bedroom and an additional bathroom on the second floor. The second is an enlargement and reconfiguration of the garage and laundry area. Variances from Harwich Board of Health Regulation 1.210 for Harwich Board of Health Regulation 1.210 to allow the proposed soil absorption system 78 feet from the bulkhead at the edge of the boat basin where 100 feet is required. Variance request of 22 feet per Harwich Board of Health Regulation 1.210 to allow a proposed soil absorption system to be 50 feet from the top of the coastal bank where 100 is required, a variance request of 50 feet. And we do have Steve Haas here this evening.
Good evening.
I open the hearing. Hello.
I'm wondering if I should even start. Anyway, Steve Hawes, the property, 6 Saquatucket Point. It's at the entrance to Saquatucket Harbor. It is a very, sensitive area. And the additions, I just go through a little bit. There are the 2 additions. One is he's putting about a 3.5-foot addition to the front of the garage and rearranging the laundry room that's in the garage so that he can get a car in there. At this point, he can't because of the way the laundry room is configured. The garage used to be used, I believe he had a sailboat at one time, and they used to just use it to store sails and that. He he didn't need it big enough for a garage, and now he doesn't have the sailboat and like to get a car in the garage, because he has one there in the winter that he leaves, and it's out in the elements all winter long, and he can put it away, so that was the garage addition there. The one I think would be more concern for you is the bedroom addition. It's the master bedroom area. That wing that sticks out there is currently the master bedroom wing. And it does have a small bathroom and some minimal closets, again, it's the same closet thing. And he would like to, spend some more time here. If you look at the proposed floor plan, he's taken up the whole the existing bedroom with a closet and a bathroom, and a hallway, and then also, right now, the only access to the basement's only about a 4-foot basement because of flood zone area regulations of that. But the only way to get into it right now is you have to go through a hole in the closet, which is getting cumbersome. As you're getting older, it's harder and harder to get in that hole. So as you see, part of the addition, or part of the existing bedroom is taken up by, he's putting a stairway down into that basement area. So the overall, actually, and then on the upstairs, because he's gonna have an upstairs space, you can see on the second floor plan, he's adding a bathroom, and again, a hallway and a closet on the second floor to accommodate the bedroom upstairs. So we designed the system. It doesn't have any Title V variances. It's just local Board of Health variances. It meets all the Title V. Katie, when we met, she recommended that we do some sort of treatment on the system due to where it is. We went over different types. We felt that, I felt nitrogen loading was not the issue here because the lot is big enough to accommodate the 5 bedrooms. There's enough land area. But the one issue would be any bacteria, viruses, or of that. So the treatment unit we used, it's a disinfection unit. It's a chlorinator / dechlorinator. It chlorinates the wastewater, takes out all the viruses, and then it dechlorinates it so that it doesn't kill the bacteria, the good bacteria in the leaching system. So, and I guess that's it. And if you have any questions.
Any public comment? Anybody out there? Close the hearing. What is your proposal?
So this one's a little different. The board actually approved this back in 2001, and it was never installed. The only change to the application now is the addition of the IA and the 3-foot addition off of the garage. Where that small addition is being proposed, it's not creating any hardships from the septic system. It's completely on the other side. So my recommendation would be to approve it with the IA. The conditions I would recommend would be to no further increase in square footage or habitable space, deed restricted to a maximum of 5 bedrooms, variances to be recorded at Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. The alternative septic system or treatment is required to have an operation and maintenance contract for the entire life of the system. The system must be tested and maintained with all the Board of Health requirements for testing, and the previous approval conditions would apply.
Any discussion from the board?
So really the only difference between this and the last case was the fact that this was approved already back in 2001.
So we can't really go into that last one, but a similar, talking about a broad example, where this addition would have no impact on this is technically a compliant septic system other than our local regulations. Any other one with new construction that would go in the area where the septic system would fully be compliant would be the difference. So if this addition was impacting the septic system, it would be a different story in my opinion.
Well, in fact, we did attempt we wanted to try to increase the garage off into the area with the side yard. And, that's when we would have had to move the system out into the front. It would have been, closer. So that was, Katie shot that down on me already.
Steve, listen, I told him he could appeal to you guys.
So, yeah.
But the disinfection unit that they have is actually really interesting. A lot of the other towns are just starting to actually require it. But like Steve said, this is actually a really big lot. Nitrogen would not necessarily be the concern, but where it is in proximity to the high tide line, it would be the coliform and some of the other viral loads getting into the water. So it's actually really, it's a newer treatment, but it's definitely an up and coming one.
Is this the first one you've done?
This treatment?
Yeah,
No, I've done a number of these.
okay.
Dennis requires these on a lot of the ones where you're within, anytime you're within proximity to a swimming
Yeah.
beach or harbor or thing like that. So we've done a number of those.
Okay.
And one thing, a lot of the towns, they started asking people to put this a UV light in it, but that was not actually even approved by DEP. And so this one has been, it was approved back in 2000. So it's a better situation.
The UV light you have to clean every month, and
Yeah.
no homeowner wants to
Yeah.
clean their
Oh, have to,
septic
yeah.
system once a month.
So, what's the cost of something like this?
For the additional treatment,
Yeah,
I think on this one, prices have gone up dramatically lately. I mean, I think it was around 2,000 for that, and then again, it's you have to maintain it. You have to feed it the tablets. I think it's quarterly. They hire one of the guys that do all that, those inspections, and they come by and feed it and make sure everything's up to snuff.
And that's something that we monitor, the O&M agreements, making sure that it's actually being done, the testing's being recorded to the county. So we do know pretty quickly if it's not done.
oh, okay, interesting, okay. Any other comments from the board? Do you want to hear a motion?
I make a motion to accept,
A little more?
I'm gonna put this, I'm making a motion to approve the,
With the,
with the,
Matt?
go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the variance request for 6 Sacotucket Point Road with the conditions that have been laid forth by the health director.
good enough?
So,
Okay.
Well, he doesn't want
No,
it. All right.
second? You second? And I'm in agreement, so we're all set. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
did you get the green cards from?
Have a nice holiday.
I don't have mine, but. All right. Last hearing, we have Sailoff Road nominee trust, 6 Sailoff Road, to consider variances to upgrade a failed septic system to a Title V septic system. Plan prepared by Ecotech Rapid Response. Applicant also proposes renovation to the existing 3-bedroom dwelling with no proposed increase in flow. For 310 CMR 15211 to allow proposed soil absorption system to be 9 feet away from the dwelling foundation where 20 feet is required. Variance request of 11 feet. For 310 CMR 15211 to allow a proposed soil absorption system to be 6 feet from the property line where 10 feet is required. Variance request of 4 feet. For 310 CMR 15211 to allow a proposed soil absorption system to be 7 feet from the property line where 10 feet is required. A variance request of 3 feet. And we do have Darren Myers here this evening.
Hi.
Hi, good evening, Darren Meyer here, representing the owner, 6 Sail Loft Road. We have an existing 3-bedroom dwelling with a failed septic. There was an emergency repair of the tank back in the spring, I believe. We're here before you for the variances for the leaching to be replaced. We're dealing with a 5,500 square foot lot, very small size, and the footprint of the house really limits what we can do with the septic with regards to compliance setbacks. So the variances that we need, we did the best we could. We kind of came up with a creative design to give us maximum setbacks from the dwelling and the lot lines. So, yeah, really don't feel like there's anything more we could have done to fit this 3-bedroom septic in that area. Nowhere else on the property would it fit any better. the existing dwelling is proposed to undergo some renovations. There is no proposed change to the footprint of the house, so these variances that we're asking for would be the same regardless of what's being done to the dwelling. If you look at the existing and proposed full floor plans, it looks like he's adding about 600 square feet, but no additional flow. The plan is to basically reconfigure some first floor and second floor rooms and then add some square footage on the second floor. That's really it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any public comments? I close the hearing. Your recommendation?
Sure, so as Darren said, there was an emergency repair that happened this past summer. A car actually drove on the cesspool and cracked the cesspool, so we gave them an emergency permit to install a tank. It's a very small lot. There's not much room. Either way, they're going to need variances. They by right are allowed variances. It's whether or not the board would approve the additional second floor, basically what they're doing. Historically, the board would approve it with the addition of IA if there's wetland variances. We haven't seen one of these cases in a long time, so it would really be the board's discretion whether you would be okay with allowing the 600 square feet because they're going up and not impacting any setbacks, or if you would want to ask for some form of IA. You do have to approve some kind of variance for the existing dwelling because it's already there. It's just to the degree whether you want to approve the square foot just as by right, or if you'd like to approve that with any additional requirements of treatment. I did put in a few recommended motions. So I do have approval of the variance request with no further increase in square footage or habitable space. That would be at the board's discretion to decide whether the existing dwelling or the proposed second floor would be included in that. The property would still need to be deed restricted to 3 bedrooms. Variances conditions would need to be recorded at the registry. If you did want to require IA, there would be additional conditions that went along with that, such as treatment must come with the operation and maintenance contract for the life of the system and must be tested and maintained with the Board of Health requirements. So it's entirely the board's discretion. There are no environmental setbacks here. That's really where the board has required the IA. But we haven't seen one where they're bringing forward variances at the same time as the upgrade. So it is not impacting setbacks in any way. They would never be able to have a compliant system with the existing dwelling.
Would you consider an IA?
I think it's important to them to be able to put in the extra square footage. So, you know, if that's the desire of the board, obviously they wouldn't want to take on the operation and maintenance of an expensive proposal like that if they don't have to, but I think it's important that they want to do the proposed work to the property. So if that's the direction that the board wants to go, I think that, you know, they'll have to work within the requirements of what you put forth.
Discussion?
I mean, I think if we're redoing the entire system anyway at this point, I know it was prepared, you know, last summer, but I think with the additional space that's being added on to the house, and I know it's not changing the footprint, but I do think requesting IA would be perfectly acceptable.
Your thoughts?
I think I'd go along with that. How far are you going up?
They're just taking and adding a second floor to a half of the upstairs that doesn't have a second floor right now, over the back half of the building.
So how much in height, though?
They're matching the height of the existing. I don't know. It's 2 stories, maybe 20.
You said 600 square feet is what you said, right?
Yeah, height though, I don't know. 20 feet, 24 feet, somewhere in there.
that's gonna be a considerable cost then to go up.
I'm sure, yeah.
So I think by putting an IA in, wouldn't that be, I mean, seems like they're putting another floor on anyway.
Right,
Having an IA, it's gonna add a little bit to the cost, but again,
sure. I mean, we just have to justify the environmental protection that it's providing, that's all. I mean, they're not adding any flow. The extra square footage is actually just increase in room sizes, and, you know, they're 14 feet above groundwater. I just question what the trying to achieve with that requirement, that's all. I'm sure they're willing to comply if that's the only way to get these approved, but I always question the environmental impact versus what we're gaining with what you're gonna require, that's all. So, you know, I'm trying to see what the benefit is. I mean, like I said, I think they want the addition, so.
Yeah, I feel like I could hear your argument about environmental impact in the long run, but, you know, living and growing up here on Cape Cod, we've seen the effects of so many things, and then they all kind of pile up on each other. And I think the environmental impact that we're looking at isn't necessarily right now, but where we're putting in everything new right now, we're looking at environmental impact down the road.
Sure.
And I do feel like the IA would be important. And I think I would be okay approving it, provided that there's the IA system involved.
I go along with that, second that.
I think that's the route we want to go
Okay.
with all the changes occurring.
Would the board feel comfortable with us reviewing at the staff level when they apply for a septic permit, or would you want to see the IA that they propose?
If I would accept this, provided there is a viable IA system that goes in without having
They
to see
could,
it
they
again.
could certainly, there's options that they
Yeah.
could put in, but would you want to see it again, or are you okay with us just reviewing it
I'd
at
be
the
okay
staff?
with it being
Okay.
reviewed at staff level.
Do I hear a motion then?
I motion to accept the variances with the addition of an IA system and having that system approved at the staff level without, once again, coming to the board.
And did you want the IA conditions in there as well?
Yes.
I do second, and I agree. But I have to make a comment that I love your, first one I've seen.
That's not his plan, that's the other engineer, but
Oh,
we do love seeing these come in.
Yeah, yeah.
They're very colorful.
sorry. Oh, that's right, it is. My apologies.
Darren's plans aren't quite as colorful.
No.
Something to strive for, Darren.
That is quite amusing. So I hope that will be okay with everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're good.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
We won't have the recordings this week, but sometime next week.
All right, thanks.
Okay. My report is fairly short. We still have our weekly calls with the state every Tuesday. We still have our Barnstable County calls every other Tuesday. We have our algae subcommittee calls every 3 weeks. I wanted to reference the COVID report in as well. As I mentioned before, we have our pediatric second dose clinic tomorrow at the elementary school from 3:30 to 4. We have Canine Fritz coming to help kind of calm some of the children, as well as a firefighter coming, walking around, passing out little fire hats and kind of helping us distract the kids before they get their
Aw.
little shot.
That's great.
Barnstable County nurses are coming to help us out. And they're doing 2 days a week, elementary schools across the Cape, so they are saints.
So
It's a
I mean,
lot of kids.
I'm glad they have it all set up, and I would certainly be willing. Working with the kids is kind of my jam. My pediatric doctor at Outer Cape Health retired, and it's something about my job that I really miss. If there's any opportunity in the future, and you guys need an extra qualified pair of hands injecting kids and goofing off a little bit, I could do that.
Come on over tomorrow. We'll always tell
I'll be
them to
working
take extra
tomorrow. I'll be
hands.
back at work, but like planning ahead, you know, if we're doing it again, certainly reach out. If there's some time,
Absolutely.
then I can
Good
make
to
it down
know.
there. That's
Yeah.
I'm the one that they get. I'm the cavalry that gets called in when there's a kid
Oh,
who can't
good
handle
to
it at
know.
work.
Yeah, it's hard to find
Yeah,
some
I
of the
can see you good at that.
Yeah,
nurses either love it
Love
or
it.
hate it.
yeah. No, I got the bobblehead dolls and the goofy glasses above my desk. That's me.
What age group is this?
I'm sorry.
What age group is this?
Tomorrow's 5 to 11.
5 to 11, so right now you only have what, 3% fully vaccinated?
Yeah, that just got opened up a few weeks ago. So tomorrow this is their second dose, so that number will change hopefully by 111,
Okay,
which is pretty good actually.
great.
We also have, as I mentioned, our testing clinic on Thursday. All staff hands on deck. We have, two of the firefighters are coming to help us out, but we're doing the whole clinic. We've been testing. We do probably 20 employees a day that we test, that we've taken on that extra little task, which has been a really great service for the town, and for the employees and their families as well, which is nice. People have been very appreciative of that. We did submit our budget for fiscal year '23. The biggest adjustment that I had put in, it was supposed to be level funded. A lot of our rates changed for our licensure that we have to have for the state. The state changed some of our licensure requirements, which was a horrible year to even look into public health requirements, but the state decided to do that, so those had to be adjusted. And I did put in a request to have our part-time inspector changed to a full-time, which Megan had been trying to do for a few years now. Even without COVID, we desperately need a little extra help, but
Yeah.
especially now with COVID, I think we're all, so we'll see, but it is in. And I hope everyone has a happy holiday season. I know, I can't believe we're in it
Should
now.
we do the permits?
Yep, that was just the end of my,
Oh, I'm sorry.
end of my report.
All right. Do I hear a motion to pass the permits?
See where they are.
These are all plumbing and construction and,
These are the Title V inspector, refuse haulers, stables, tobacco, food. So majority of our permits expire the end of this month. So we already start having people renew. So this is the renewals for 2022. This is the biggest list you'll probably have. Next month we'll still have a good chunk, but this is almost all of the permits. Well, not all, but a good chunk.
do I hear a motion to pass the permits?
I motion to pass the permits.
Second? I agree. Pass.
Perfect.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We talked about masks before. No, how is that going?
Oh, I'm
Did
sorry,
you want
you're
to
right.
decide on a date
Yeah,
tonight so
yeah.
we can get that going?
Yeah.
So you can have the discussion at the meeting? So it takes 48 business days to post it. Excuse me,
I was gonna say, whoa.
hours. It's been a long day.
Oh, no, yes, you've done so much.
So if anyone wants to offer up some suggestions, would work.
Well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, next week, I'm free.
How about Tuesday?
I'm free any evening. I'll be working during the day, but, I could certainly make a 6:30 meeting
Okay,
anytime.
How about Tuesday? What's that?
Tuesday?
I'm not here, so if you wanna do it.
What's the day of the week of that?
So
I mean,
it
not
would be
Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 28th, so I would need to post the agenda by this Thursday, but I'd have to do it tomorrow, just with everything going on.
Yeah, we could do that though. Okay, so 6:30 on the 28th of December. We'd have to, I don't know if this room is available, but
not, we'll
that
do
one would be if this one's not. So we'll send out an email, just confirming with everyone. So she wouldn't be here on the 28th. She won't be back until,
Do we need the whole board for the mask?
No, the whole board, was with Speakman's, but we're gonna revisit that on the 18th.
and Sharon won't be
So-
back then.
Yeah, for just the masks.
All right, we'll get that posted.
Well, happy holidays, everybody.
Very good.
You too. Was there a motion to adjourn, just so we have the official?
Oh, we
Motion to
squashed it.
adjourn.
Second?
Second the motion.
I'm in favor, all in favor.
Perfect.
Aye.
Very good.
I can recycle anything that people don't want.